Hi there, Aaron Dunn here from the SMSF Academy, and in this video we're going to be looking at the CGT relief minutes, in particular for the segregated method. Now you can do these documents using both our standard document but also with our integrations with both Class Super and BGL 360, but I'm going to take you through the standard way in terms of this form. And we have really four key areas that we need to work through. So first and foremost, our fund information. We're then looking at our trustee information here, which I've pre-populated. Importantly, we can select that particular address, so all that information can come out of the software automatically, choose who our chairman is, and then we'll have these particulars of the meeting date if you want to, the time. Those can be left blank if you want the trustee to complete those yourself. We then get down to some of the member information, or the reason why we're eligible to apply for the CGT relief, and this is going to the very object of that relief, where either A, a member needs to comply with the transfer balance cap, or they were in receipt of a transition to retirement income stream. So we've chosen here the need to comply with the transfer balance cap. And as part of this process, when we now look at the CGT relief minutes here, we're now needing to work out what documentation we're going to be preparing. So the question here then asks is, has the asset stopped being segregated current pension assets at the cessation time? So in this instance, we may be looking at some way, shape or form, either that it's continued to be segregated current pension assets, and we've separated that as such under section 295/385, or we've switched to the proportionate method. And that may have been a conscious decision that has come about, as you can see here, to comply with the reforms, or they may have switched inadvertently through a contributional rollover of some other way, shape or form. So we're going to put in here the reason as being to comply with the superannuation reforms, and we're going to do that at the 30th of June 2017, because in essence we're wanting this to be the last thing that occurred on the 30th of June, and this is important around the actuarial requirements, and I'll explain a little bit more in terms of that documentation. So we now go through to our next stage, where you can review and then finally submit this information, which as a gold and silver member you can generate this under your membership. For our bronze and PAYG members, you would simply need to pay for this document at that particular point in time. So what I'm going to do here now is just pause this video whilst this document generates, and I'll show you the completed documents once they have generated in about a minute or two's time. Okay, so we can see here now we've got our email that's confirmed the order. So when we open this up, what you will find here is that we have two separate documents, and the first one here is because we've made this decision to adopt the proportionate method. So first and foremost, we're looking at the compliance with the reforms and the object ultimately of the relief. We've then made the decision that we had segregated current pension assets in accordance with section 295/385, and then we've made this decision to switch, and as a result of that we still need to look at what set of rules are complying for the CGT relief provision. So under the segregated method, even though we've switched, we then have what our requirements are as part of the fund's tax return. And then we've also incorporated in here that this is ultimately the last decision that is being made for the year, and that as a result of this process that we've done here, the trustees are satisfied that no actuarial certificate is required, because the fund has disregarded all income, gains and losses that have been accounted for, both receipted on the 30th of June and accrued to the 30th of June prior to switching to the proportionate method. So therefore, there's been a conscious decision to not obtain an actuarial certificate because we have no income that has been generated under the proportionate method for that period of time. So we then have our resolutions that need to be done around that, and then we have our subsequent document about the application of the relief, because we're now doing this as part of the fund's tax return. So we have our approved form that must be done by the due date of the fund's return. Once it's been made, that CGT election, it cannot be revoked. And then what occurs in respect to that CGT event around those particular assets that pertain to the CGT relief schedule that you will be able to produce out of your SMSF software. We have our record keeping requirements and then the resolutions that occur as well. So that's what our CGT documents produce. Like I said, it's important where that decision has been made to switch to the proportionate method, in particular at the 30th of June. We see as having those two documents as being distinct and separate there as being critically important, because it deals with the specific issue as to whether you need an actuarial certificate or not as well. So if you do have any further questions in respect to the CGT relief minutes that we now have available, whether under the segregated or the proportionate method, please feel free to get in contact with us, 1300 95 94 76, or reach out to us by email, info@thesmsfacademy.com.au. Thank you.